A very good morning to you, New England. I'm Justin Michaels.
And I'm Nick Morganelli in for Tim Kelly.
And if you're waking up right now and you have some place to be, make sure you set your clocks ahead. You could be late.
and make sure you set them all ahead. Otherwise
Exactly. Well, looking ahead, weather is changing today compared to yesterday. This is going to be a little chilly today.
I know. We're 20 degrees colder today.
All right, Nick, thanks. We'll see you shortly. There are new developments in the search for a missing Malaysian Airlines flight with 239 people aboard. Malaysia's Air Force says radar shows the plane may have turned back, even though there was really no distress call. And as our Brendan Monahan reports, authorities are also looking into two passengers who apparently boarded that plane with stolen passports.
Investigators say
the cousin of Holyoke, Massachusetts Mayor Alex Morse is facing drunk driving charges today. Nicholas Duclos was arrested Friday night. Police in Northampton say he was operating the mayor's city-issued car at the time. Now, the two were at an event together, but Morse was not in that car when Duclos was arrested. The mayor has issued a statement here. He says, quote, "This situation has left me feeling betrayed and disappointed. Nick made a stupid decision, and he should have known there was absolutely no reason for him to have taken that car." In other news here today, a Pembroke, Massachusetts man is facing drunk driving charges. 6 times now he's faced those charges. Police in Hingham arrested John Sweezy late Friday night following a traffic stop. When he got out of his truck, he refused to take that sobriety test, and police also found an empty bottle of alcohol inside. They also discovered his driver's license had been suspended. Now, Sweezy has a history of OUIs dating all the way back to 1977. He is due in court tomorrow. Still no arrests this morning in a double shooting in Boston. It happened late Saturday morning on Almont Street in Mattapan. Officers found 2 victims suffering from gunshot wounds. Police say their injuries are non-life-threatening. Both victims were taken to the hospital, and right now, no word on their conditions. Dozens of bus drivers in Vermont will not be going on strike tomorrow. The Chittenden County Transportation Authority says it has reached a deal with the union that represents almost 70 drivers. Details of the contract proposal have not been released. The drivers carry about 9,500 people a day in the state's largest county. Vermont is working to reverse a heroin crisis, and because heroin and strong prescription painkillers are actually chemically similar, some point to pills as a getaway to heroin. And the growing number of heroin deaths and arrests have people worried. Our Jack Thurston investigates.
every day, NECN.
Now, it's worth noting, in 2010, the makers of Oxycontin changed the formulation there to make the drug harder to abuse, and some say that change led to an increase in addicts switching over to heroin, though it is tough to measure just how much. In Washington now, the annual gathering of top conservative politicians and their supporters is over. And after 3 days of speeches, it's clear the path to the 2016 Republican nomination for president is more wide open than ever. Chris Pallone reports now.
Former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
The neighborhood watchman acquitted in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin made a public appearance in Central Florida this weekend. George Zimmerman greeted patrons at a gun show in Orlando. Now, he shook hands. He also gave autographs. Actually, a gun shop owner at that show supported Zimmerman during his trial, so Zimmerman agreed to appear at that gun show to return that favor. An emotional ceremony for a World War II veteran in New York. 89-year-old Staff Sergeant Richard Faulkner received a Purple Heart nearly 70 years after being injured in World War II. Faulkner was just 19 years old when Nazi soldiers shot down his plane in 1944. He was the only surviving member of that B-17 bombing crew. Faulkner refused the Purple Heart 7 decades ago because he felt others were more deserving.
I don't deserve this.
Faulkner's family says he didn't even talk about the service that he put into our country for more than 6 decades, but he hopes his story inspires other veterans to share their experiences with a new generation. A marathon spelling bee has finally ended in Kansas City.
That is correct.
All right, there you go. 7th grader Kush Sharma defeated 5th grader Sophia Hoffman yesterday. The two competed for nearly, get this, 100 rounds over the course of 2 days. And most of those rounds were just between the two of them. They both exhausted the initial word list, forcing a spell-off. Sharma now moves on to the Scripps National Spelling Bee, which will be held in May.
Are kids getting smarter?
I don't know.
They exhausted the word list.
I know. 100 rounds for these kids? They were probably falling asleep. My goodness gracious. Yeah. Anyway, all right, I'll tell you what. Yesterday was a tease. That's what it was.
You know, it was like, I'm almost here, guy. I'm almost here. Spring is talking to us, right?
Just please stay.
Yeah, but I've got to go. I've got to go away now and come back in April. You know.
Great.
So, yeah, it's going to be a.
Thanks, Nick.
Well, you know, it is going to be a cold month though overall. And let's look at the headlines here.
Witnesses are seeing dozens of military trucks carrying armed soldiers arriving in Crimea as Russia reinforces its presence in the disputed Ukrainian peninsula. Jim Maceda has more now.
I'm Jim Maceda, NBC News, reporting from Moscow. And now back to you.
The founder of WikiLeaks is hinting that new revelations are coming that contain a lot more important material. In a video provided by the Texas Tribune, Julian Assange spoke by teleconference at the South by Southwest Festival in Austin. Now, he said the U.S. government is engaged in, quote, unprecedented surveillance and theft of personal data. He did not offer any specifics about new leaks. Well, whether you play Candy Crush or Angry Birds, most of us can say we are responsible for at least a little bit of that 60 billion downloads from Apple's App Store, right? At least I know I am. As for the faces behind those apps, though, there's one in Maine that might surprise you. Our Marnie McLean has this story.
This is a pretty normal sight for a teenage boy.
All right, so the Drink Buddy. It's supposed to put a lid on spills, but is it too good to be true? Our Leslie Gatiss is asking that age-old question. Does it work?
We think the Drink Buddy kinda works. Leslie Gatiss, NECN.
All right, so thank goodness it kinda works because these are the cups we have in our kitchen at the station and they fit. They do fit. Now, I'm still a klutz, so I'll probably figure out a way to knock that over. But
I've got 4 kids and they're still gonna spill it. This is a great invention though. This works.
A lid?
A lid.
Thank you, Nick.
Lids are good.
Thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. The news continues.